I guess I have a slightly different take on the subject. I don't defend Fast and Furious, and I don't defend the actions of the U.S. Attorney's Office at the time in Phoenix, and I certainly believe that it was a botched attempt that led to a tragedy, perhaps many tragedies. And I think this committee and its chairman are right to raise those issues and to try to assign blame. But there's another part of the story I doubt very much the press will print in tomorrow's headlines, because it's so much easier to print who screamed the loudest at ATF and that you got beat up. But what the press won't print tomorrow, sadly, is the fact that Congress's hands are hardly clean on this subject. We have done everything to make sure that the F in ATF is nullified. We have made sure that you haven't got a permanent director for 6 years. We laud the private sector. What private company would think it's okay to lack a permanent CEO for 6 years? We have done everything in our power in Congress to try to defang the ATF to make sure that it's toothless. We've done everything we can to fight your budget and reduce it so that you don't have the resources to do the job. We're not criticizing you for not doing well. We had testimony before this committee by one of your colleagues, called by the committee majority, who said there are more New York police officers per square mile in New York than there are ATF agents in all of the state of Arizona. And yet somehow we're going to stop the hemorrhaging of arms trafficking going into Mexico with that kind of paltry set of resources. But that won't be in the headline tomorrow. Some of the loudest critics of ATF today are also on a bill misnamed the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Enforcement Act. What does that bill do? It allows firearms dealers to liquidate their inventories after having their arms dealer license revoked, and would decriminalize gun sale record-keeping violations, even if they contributed to cross-border gun trafficking. How does that help ATF and its mission? Where is the accountability here in Congress on this subject? It's easy to beat up on you. It's easy to look for a scapegoat when the agenda really is to make sure that we make it harder, not easier, to enforce gun trafficking. We had testimony from one of your colleagues before this committee who said there's more regulation on over-the-counter Sudafed than there is in arms trafficking going into Mexico. And he testified, and was interrupted in this testimony because it wasn't welcome, that he believed we needed to toughen enforcement laws as a tool for ATF to be able to fulfill its mission along the border. So I have no doubt that we can all pile on, and correctly, criticizing ATF for a botched mission. But what isn't said, and sadly what the press isn't going to bother to write about, but they should, is the fact that Congress, for 6 long years and maybe longer, has done everything in its power to make sure, in fact, you can't do your job. And this set of hearings needs to explore that too. With that, I yield back the balance of my time to the ranking member.